Hey guys, Taylor and Polly here from Beaten Jeans, and today we are interviewing Marie, who has CDH1. She had a prophylactic gastrectomy. I don't know why I can't say that today. Prophylactic gastrectomy, and she has an extremely important story and an important message to share with everybody today. I won't get into the details. I will let her do that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see if Marie can join in on our
live.
Yeah.
So Marie, if you just hit that button that you pressed earlier when we were doing our practice run. We'll just give her a second to...
Let's turn the volume up. Hope everyone's having a good day.
June 1st.
Our mom is here. She never can remember to join the interview, so it's good to see that you're on live, Mom. She never remembers.
Marie, if you could just request to join our live.
I don't even know how you do that. Do you know how to do that?
She would actually have to be on our live, so I bet she doesn't know how to do that.
Maybe.
Let me just try and invite her again. You guys, we are not technically savvy, if you can't tell, but get the word out here.
Oh, here we go.
There we are.
Hi, Marie.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, we can't see you.
Let's turn that camera around. All right, let's.
Well, there's the truth's on.
All right. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
yeah, you don't need to see my files.
but now we
No, turn around. There we go.
There we go. Hi, Marie. Hi.
All right. Hi.
That's it. We made it work.
It only took a minute.
Yeah.
So
Well, it takes a little longer with the chemo brain, right?
Oh.
Y'all know about that.
So I'm Taylor. I haven't officially met you yet. I know you talked to Polly earlier.
Hi,
so it's good to meet you. Hi.
Hi, Paula. Hi, Taylor.
Hi. We're so happy you could join us.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story and hopefully bringing
I'm
awareness to other people out there.
I'm definitely excited to tell my story.
Good. Perfect. This is the perfect place to do it.
All right. So why don't you take us back to the beginning about
All right.
How did you learn you carry this mutation?
Okay. Well, I like to go a little bit back further because it all starts to make sense in a minute. So
Okay.
I've always kind of tried to be on top of my health. 2001, I turned 35. I have my first colonoscopy, my first breast exam. Everything's cool. And I start doing those on the regular. 2005, I get my first taste of basal cell carcinoma. And then from then on, I have a full body scan at the dermatologist every year on top of it. 2010, I start suffering from fibroids, so I have a hysterectomy. And they yank everything except for one ovary. We were going to keep the ovaries, but the fibroid was being stubborn and wouldn't let go of one ovary, so it had to go. So I get the hysterectomy and I'm thinking, well, there's nothing really to monitor, so kind of stopped going to the gyno after that, because what are they going to look at? It's all gone.
Right.
And in 2010 was the year that my niece Stephanie was diagnosed with stage 3C, hereditary diffuse gastric cancer at the age of 20.
Oh, wow.
And that was scary. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like to be 20 years old and told that the survival rate for what you have is 9%. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
You're 20.
Oh.
But she's tough. She's like, I got this. Okay, we're gonna take the toughest regimen that they can give us. I'm gonna beat this thing. It's gonna be fine. She even had the forethought to go before she had her before she started chemo, to have some eggs harvested, because she's like, I'm going to make this, and then later on, I'm going to want babies.
Right. Yes.
I am very, very pleased to tell you that Stephanie, her career trajectory changed because of everything that she had been through, and the care she had received in the hospital. She's an oncology nurse today.
Wow. Oh my gosh, so she's the 9%.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Wow. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Yay, that's incredible.
Yeah. So she's been pretty great. So she relates to cancer patients in a way that most nurses can't, because she's been through it,
Right.
She's worked in a few different hospitals. She worked at the local hospital, but then she moved to Jacksonville a couple years ago after her dad moved there. And she's working at a proton clinic now.
Wow. That is so
What
inspiring.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where did she have her treatments done?
She went to Hopkins, and she had her stomach yanked by Dr. Mark Duncan. We love him. We think he's amazing. He also did my surgery and my brother's surgery. And now that we're no longer patients, he's actually kind of become a family friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. He's such a great guy. We love him.
Was Stephanie the first in your family to have the gastric cancer? Okay.
Yes, that we know of. Yes. My father's father died when my dad was 5, and it was an accident. He had fallen asleep with a cigarette in his hand and lit the couch on fire and died of smoke inhalation. So, weird stuff. My grandmother lived into her 70s, and they figured her cause of death was mini strokes.
Okay.
A series of them. So anyway, so Stephanie survives this. She goes into nursing, and in 2016, she's one of the guest speakers at No Stomach for Cancer, because she's got a unique story to tell, like a unique position, because she's not only an oncology nurse, but she's a survivor.
Right.
That's why she missed my graduation. This year, I finally, at the age of 50, graduated from college. She missed my college birthday.
Yeah.
I went back for the 5th time, and majored in marketing and graduated at the age of 50.
Never too late to go.
Never too late. Never too late. So during this No Stomach for Cancer symposium, it starts really sinking in. She's like, I took that CDH1 test and it was negative, but this is nagging me. I don't feel like negative was the right answer. I'm going to go take this test again. And she did.
She had a negative?
Stephanie's was negative?
She had a negative. The first time she took it, it was negative.
And what year was that? 16?
Probably 2010 or 2011, I'm guessing. Because the surgery was December 1st, 2010. So I'm guessing it was probably early 2011.
Okay.
And it came out negative. So she decided to take the test again. She came out positive. And then, of course, she had to figure out which parent came from. And it came from her dad, my brother. Mm-hmm. And so Joe calls me and my other brother and says, hey, guess what? We all have to be tested. And, well, we are a family of overachievers. So all 3 of us got it.
Oh, that's like us.
That's our family.
That's our family, too. We all 3 have it.
So much for 50-50, huh?
Right, yeah. What's with the 50-50? Exactly. Yeah. So I had it, and both of my brothers had it.
Wait a minute. How common is this to be false negative? This is concerning.
I don't think that's very common at all. So it may have been a problem. I don't know which genetic outfit had done the testing or anything. I don't know those details. But all I know is somewhere in the narrative, she had tested for it and had tested negative, but negative was wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. So then our parents had to be tested, and we started with mom, and mom was negative. So obviously it was dad. So dad was like, well, if it's obvious that's me, I'm not going to go take the test actually, because we already know it had to come from me because it didn't come from her, because he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And because he served in NOM, he was getting VA benefits because of exposure to Agent Orange, which can be tied to the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah.
So he was like, I ain't messing with my bennies. So we're just going to assume it came from me because it didn't come from mom. I was like,
right.
Sounds great. And plus, at his age, he was not a candidate to go have his stomach yanked. I mean, he was early 70s.
Right.
Yeah.
It did trouble him a great deal that he knew that it came from his side. He had a hard time. I mean, my stepmother and I had talked about this a great deal. It really wrecked him, you know,
the guilt of passing it on to all his kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It really did a number on him. Yeah. My father ended up with Alzheimer's, and his Alzheimer's suddenly, it was kind of there, you know, things were happening, and then all of a sudden, bam, the rapid progression of it was ridiculous. Like, he was working in 2018 in the early part of the year, and by the end of 2018, he was like not very functional without extra help. In 2019, we had a family reunion because my son was traveling between, my son's in the Navy, and he was coming from his station in Italy, had a couple weeks leave before he was getting stationed in Honolulu at Pearl Harbor. So we had a nice big family reunion. It was very, very cool. But I mean, you look at those pictures of my dad and you can tell how quickly he's wasting away. I mean, he was pretty cogent for that, but by sundown, he was gone. You know, it was just, and later that year, my brother and I went to visit him for his 75th birthday. We surprised him. He thought it was the best surprise ever.
Oh.
And he was really cogent, and he had a wonderful time at lunch. But as we went back to the airport, because we actually only came down for a day. We didn't even stay overnight. We just stayed for the day because me and my brother are super busy at our jobs. So we're like, there's no room at the end anyway, and we don't feel like spending money on hotel rooms. So we're just going to take the first flight out and last flight back.
Right.
But anyway, as they're driving us back to the airport and the sun's going down, Dad's decline. I mean, I just watched it happen right in front of me, and I was like, wow. And, my stepmother, Linda, she's like, yeah, it really does go that quickly once the sun goes down for him. Wow. It was incredible to watch.
That is very hard to
watch. It is. And we knew when we saw him it was going to be the last time. We knew that. And so, so that was September 2019. March 2021, he's declined to the point that my stepmother says, I don't have a choice. I can't pick him up off the floor every day. I'm not strong enough to do this. This man falls down every single day. And like, he didn't know where to go to the bathroom. He would go to the closet and go to the bathroom. Like, it was crazy. So she made the very difficult decision to put him in assisted living. Mm-hmm. He had to have a COVID test before they would admit him into it. So he finally went in May 1st. They put him on isolation, because that's what you did with COVID, and kept him away from everybody except for the workers. Oh. Father's Day, he fell. And because he was on blood thinners, he lost enough blood from this minor little injury that it warranted a trip to the ER. And what do you do in June of 2020 when you end up in the ER? Yeah, you get a COVID test.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was positive.
Oh my gosh.
And he died July 18th of COVID.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So it was
a year ago, not even a year ago.
Well, it was a year and a half. Yeah, it was a year and a half. And then we finally got to bury him in December of 2020. Oh, no, he died he died in 2020, right. So December of 2021, we got to bury him at Arlington with all of the accolades afforded him. Because he had quite the storied career. I mean, he worked, he was in the Army for 20 years, made the highest rank available at the time as a CW4. That's the highest rank you could achieve as an enlisted man at the time. Then worked for the DOD, worked at the Pentagon, worked at the White House. Quite an illustrious career. So it was just It was really something. So, anyway,
No, I think that's good to know the family dynamic and know that you're so close with your family because that plays such an important role in all of this.
It really did. It really did. And so, okay, so here's where my journey starts. So, New Year's, ringing in 2021, I start having this bleeding. I don't really get where it's coming from because I never suspected it was coming from my hoo-ha because it only happened with a bowel movement. So I thought, oh, do I have hemorrhoids that are acting up or something? What's going on with that?
Okay. Yeah.
So I went to the gastroenterologist, and I was due for a colonoscopy because I was getting them every 5 years like clockwork anyway because I was doing all the things. Oh, yeah, I skipped a part. 2016, after I found out I had, how did I fit? I skipped a whole chapter. Whole day.
Okay, well, let's
2016.
go back to next chapter.
Let's go back. Okay, rewind the tape. 2016, we all find out we have the gene. This happens about a month before my regularly scheduled mammogram. And they find LCIS, lobular carcinoma in situ. Mm-hmm. So I have a lumpectomy. And then I'm thinking, well, girl's got to come off. I'm done with this. We ain't having this. So I go and I get all the counseling, for the double mastectomy. And then I see an oncologist that's been assigned to me. And she's like, honey, you get breast cancer. You probably fix it. Fix it 90% of the time. You get stomach cancer. You're going to die. So you need to go get your stomach picked first. Do the stomach first. And I was thinking at the time, oh, this could be really good. I get my boobs taken care of, and I have so much body fat. I can get the deep flap, and I can use my own tissue, get a tummy tuck at the same time. Woo!
Right.
So I really had thought about doing the mastectomy first. But my oncologist wisely said, nope, you need to get your stomach done first. And I listened to her and I was like, okay, you're right. So I had my stomach removed April 26, 2017, the day before my birthday. Yeah.
Wow.
My birthday in John Hopkins.
Did you do surveillance before that?
I had one scope, and the scope was fine. Because it all happened so fast. Because I tested in, I think, August, had the lumpectomy. We found the thing in the mammogram in September, had the lumpectomy in October, and then I started in January looking into having a mastectomy. And so we pulled the trigger, I think fairly quickly, considering. Because some people stretch out that debate for a long time. Mm-hmm. Right? Like my son. Yeah, because my son got tested, and he's positive.
How old is your son?
34. And he has 3 children. 2 are biological, 1 is adopted. So my 2 biological grandchildren will also have to be tested when they're older. So
you had your gastrectomy where your niece had hers at Hopkins.
Yes, by the same doctor. Yes.
Okay.
And then then 2 months later, my brother Jimmy, who lives in Hawaii, we lived in Hawaii when we were kids, and that's where he met his high school sweetheart, and they've been together since 1989. It's the cutest love story ever. We met in French class. It's so cute. They're still together. It's awesome. Because that shit does not happen anymore, right? So he had his gastrectomy, and I just got to say, when I had my gastrectomy, it went pretty well. I didn't have a whole lot of complications. I did have a partially collapsed lung that sent me to the surgical ICU overnight, but then I got over it. Everything was fine. But the spirometer that you're supposed to blow into every day,
right,
for 10 minutes, once an hour. Yeah, did I do that?
No. They prescribed it for your collapsed lung. Or you do it?
No, it was before. It was before because everybody's supposed to. So that's why my lung collapsed, because I wasn't doing it often enough. I was doing it, but I was so freaking tired. I couldn't do it. I was like, really? No, don't make me do this again. I'm tired. Well, that did not work out well. So I had a partially collapsed lung, went to surgical ICU for overnight, and then I was fine. A couple more days of recovery, they sent my ass home. And I was still supposed to be doing the spirometer at home. Was I doing it?
No.
No. Guess what? I ended up back in the hospital with pneumonia for 6 days.
Oh my gosh.
That's what
So,
we say.
you know,
Lessons
copy their tail.
until learned.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I make sure I always tell people when I'm on, any of those chats, it's like, okay, and everybody's like, what advice do you have? I'm like, blow into the stupid spirometer, you're going to end up with pneumonia like I did, and it's going to suck. But other than that, I really had no problems. Really. I really had no problems. It was fine.
Was it an open or laparoscopic procedure?
Open. It was open. So, it was quite a bit to recover from, but I was fine.
Right.
Sorry, chemo brain makes me forget things sometimes. So, I'm recovering, and I'm having a little bit of buyer's remorse. I'm like, because, the pathology report comes back in and doesn't show one trace. Not one trace of cancer. And I'm like, why the hell did I put my body through this?
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
I didn't have cancer. Why? Why did I do this? Because, life after not having a stomach is not easy, right? It's all hard, but it's not easy. Well, 2 months after I had mine done, my brother Jimmy in Hawaii had his done, and they found 8 carcinomas in him that did not show up in his scope. He had only had 3 months before. And I was like, well, there you go. That's why I have no remorse. That's why I did this. That's because I could have turned out like that.
Right. Who's to say what would have happened later, right?
Oh, I'm convinced that if we had not found out about CDH1, that both of my brothers would be dead. Because my brother Joe, the next year, he finally got his. He was fighting with insurance and this and that for the longest time. And then he decided, well, he told his insurance people, you're not being very cooperative about this. And he was having all kinds of other intestinal issues as well. He said, the next time I have an intestinal flare-up, I'm going to the nearest hospital. And that's it. Well, he made sure that his next flare-up just kind of, coincidentally happened right next to Hopkins. So that he could have Mark Duncan. Yeah, so Mark Duncan took out a few feet of his small colon as well as his stomach.
Wow.
And he had tumors on his small colon. So his recovery was hard. Both of my brothers, for the longest time, they kind of consisted on smoothies. My brother Jim, the one in Hawaii, he has to go in to see the doctor every so often to get a balloon dilation because things get stuck.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
And, he was only eating solid food regularly maybe for the last 2 years or so, and he had this done in 2017, so that's 7 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah. He was basically subsisting on smoothies for most of his nutrition for close to 5 years.
Yeah.
She would be, thank God I didn't have to do it. Plus I'm lactose intolerant, so that wouldn't have worked anyway.
Yeah.
But your brother that had his colon, so he had an advanced stage then, if it had...
Well, he had issues in his colon, and he had some stage 1 in the stomach, so he didn't have to do radiation or chemo or anything. We caught it early enough, but yeah, he had these teeny tiny little tumors in both his small bowel and in his stomach. So I'm convinced, had we not found out that we were all CDH1, both my brothers would be dead by now. I know that.
Right.
I have no doubt they would be dead. So.
And how
so we're all handling it.
He had more than smoothies? Has that?
Yeah, well, yes, he does now. But yeah, the first year or two, he was mostly smoothies. Yeah, and me, no, I was like straight to scrambled eggs and mashed potatoes were my go-to for the longest time, and then I was like, hell, I'm gonna eat whatever I want, you know.
My God.
Sometimes I pay the price, but I know which foods are going to give me trouble. Like, seafood's easy to digest, but red meat not so much. So yeah, if somebody offers me a filet mignon, I'm gonna have that, but I ain't gonna throw down for a Whopper Junior. That's not worth getting sick for. So I'm very, very judicious about what I eat. Very judicious about what I'm going to put in my body with that I know is going to make me ill. Right. So, okay, so back to where we were. So January 2021, I'm having bleeding. I'm thinking it's rectal because it's only happening with the bowel movement. Colonoscopy comes back clear. I'm still having bleeding, and I go back to my primary care physician. She goes, have I given you a vaginal exam? I'm like, no, and I don't go to the GYN anymore because why? I don't need, I don't have a cervix. I don't need a pap smear. Right. She's like, all right, let's check you out. And I had a 3-centimeter tumor in my vagina.
Wow, she could feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's like, what's this down here? I'm like, don't ask me. I don't know. You tell me what that is down there. So she sent me for an MRI, and they confirmed the size of it. And it was fairly sizable for something I didn't even notice was there. And what I had figured out was because of the location of it, the proximity was so close to the rectal wall that's why every time I had a bowel movement, it would bleed because that would push against the wall and make it bleed. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I know this is very graphic biology talk, but all of us people, we talk about all of that stuff graphically now, don't we? Without shame.
This is important for people to hear.
It's awareness. Yes. Thank you for being so open.
Yeah.
So the next thing to do is to go see an OB, a GYN oncologist. So I go and I get in to see her, and she's like, let's do a biopsy. Wish I'd been better prepared for that scream. But it was not fun. But that's okay. I mean, it only bled for a day. And then we did blood work. My cancer antigens and my immunostains from the biopsy, all of those markers, were positive on the gastric side and negative on the gyno side. This was not a gynecological cancer. It was gastric cancer. I have gastric cancer in my hoo-ha.
So how is that possible? So then pathology couldn't have been right if it's...
I know. The pathology didn't find anything. Right. So Dr. Davis, actually, I did a telehealth with him, and he said, can I talk to Duncan and get some of that tissue because I want to take another look at him? I'm like, call him up. He'll. So I don't know what's happened with that yet. I guess I got to follow up. But
so that's recent.
Yeah, that's fairly recent.
And they still had your stomach.
Uh-oh. We're here.
I don't know what happened there with my phone. I'm back. Good.
So Dr. Davis potentially has part of your stomach to examine right now to see if there was...
Potentially, he might. I need to follow up and see if that transaction ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, is there an explanation for that as to how it could have gone there when you...
We don't know.
I mean,
we have no idea.
Examine the entire stomach, right? They just take blocks.
That's true. There's no way to look at the whole thing.
It's a total gastrectomy.
Right.
It was a total gastrectomy. How I ended up with this is beyond. So anyway, because of the size of the tumor and the fact that I had enlarged inguinal lymph nodes, those are the lymph nodes that are there in your pelvis, okay? I had enlarged lymph nodes, and because of the size of the tumor being more than 3 centimeters, the classification was stage 3. So I go back to my oncologist, who's going to be the quarterback for everything, and we've got the team assembled, and she's great. God, I love her so much. She's so amazing. She's like, okay, you know what? I want to send you for a second opinion. And she sent me not to Dr. Davis, but to Dr. John Marshall at Georgetown, because he's kind of the guru there on gastric cancer. And so we had telehealth because it was COVID. And then he reported back to my oncologist, Dr. Tweed. And he's like, no, you got to treat this like a gastric cancer. You can't treat this like a gyno cancer. It's not. It's a gastric cancer. So she gave me the FLOT cocktail. And FLOT is I can't remember what it stands for. Google it, guys. FLOT. F-L-O-T. Okay. But it's 4 things, and so chemo day was like all day long. It was seriously, I'd be there for like 5-6 hours because they have to.
Infusions?
It was an infusion.
Okay.
But it was first they'd have to get my blood work to make sure everything was cool and I was okay to receive my infusion that day, and then they'd give me some infusion medicines, like I know one of the things they gave me was Benadryl to try to stave off some of those side effects, but the Benadryl would make me drowsy, so I wouldn't get a whole lot done on chemo day. And then I would get 2 things, and then 1 thing, and then 1 last thing. Yeah. And then, and whatever the last thing was, maybe that was the 5FU. But I know that on chemo day, they would send me out with something still hooked up. Oh, here you go. Here's my stop it. Here's my port.
Yep.
So, the last thing that would be hooked up to my port, I'd be carrying on a bag, and wearing that for a day. So the next day, I would go back to the infusion center for a disconnect, and then they'd give me the Neulasta. And the Neulasta was, excuse me, it's one of the side effects from everything of not having a stomach is I burp all the time, can't help it. The Neulasta was to help me rebuild the white blood cells. Because my white blood cell count stayed pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
So I start March 2021, mid-March 2021, only after I had done, 10 or so other scans, because they were like, this is gastric cancer, where'd it come from? So we had to, I had an upper endoscopy, I had a sigmoidoscopy, I had a PET scan, I had the thing where they swallow the camera and look at the small intestine. I had all of these different tests because they had to figure out for sure that what was in my hoo-ha had not metastasized from my liver or my intestine or my esophagus or whatever. They had to make sure that it was a primary vaginal cancer, and it was. So we didn't narrow it down that it was a primary vaginal adenocarcinoma of gastric origin.
Okay.
Bizarre. Vaginal cancer only happens, there's only about 6,500 cases a year in this country anyway, so it's already a pretty damn rare cancer as it is. But to be a gastric cancer origin is just, it just really blows it up into far bizarre land. Okay, so when I was first diagnosed in February, my CA19-9, which is a cancer antigen, most of you who have dealt with cat cancer, you probably know of that number. That number is supposed to be less than 30, and in February it was over 3,000. And in March, right before I started chemo, it was over 6,000. Oh. When I finished chemo, June 1st, they sent me off for a PET scan and blood work on June 4th. And that paperwork came back that my cancer tumor was completely gone, completely annihilated by the FLOT.
Oh my gosh.
There was nothing left. It was completely gone.
Oh
And
gosh.
I know, it was great. And my antigen.
6 to 0 is incredible.
Yeah. So and my cancer antigen, the CA19-9, had dropped down to 1294.
Okay.
Oh.
And it had been at 6,000.
Wow.
And it jumped to 1294. So then I was like, all right. So I go back to the gyno oncologist, and I go, so if it's gone, I don't need surgery now, right? Because they had also had me see a rectal surgery guy, because they were concerned that when the surgery happened, they were also going to have to do some stuff back there because of the proximity. There might be some damage, blah blah blah. She's like, no, there's nothing. She's like, your tumor's gone. I got nothing to do. I was like, cool. Yeah. And then the next day, I go and I see my regular oncologist and the radiation oncologist, and I said, yeah, doctor, I won't mention her name, said, surgery's off the table. And they go,
oh, it wasn't true?
We really wish she wouldn't have said that to you without talking to us. So we're going to send you up to see Rebecca Stone at Hopkins, because she's amazing. She is. She really is amazing. She's the head of gyno oncology up there at Hopkins. She's wonderful. I love her. She's great. So she consults with me, and she had already taken the Liberty, God love her. She goes, I pretty much already knew that you were going to need some surgery, and I saw this opening for Thursday, so I already booked it unless you got a problem with that. And I was like, no, let's go.
Good. Let's get it out. Whatever.
I love how fast. Isn't that amazing? So she goes, what I want to do is I want to get in there and scrape and check for clear margins. Mm-hmm. And I think those, at least one, maybe more, of those inguinal nodes need to come out. I was like, okay. Well, she ended up taking out 2 inguinal nodes, and one showed evidence of metastasis. So it didn't really change anything. We didn't need to take the tumor out because the tumor was gone. But it didn't really change the long-term plan, because I had already had a plan with the quarterback oncologist and the radiation oncologist. And, of course, I had the best one of those, too. I had the chair of radiation oncology at Hopkins as my doctor. Mm-hmm. Dr. V. I can't remember how to say her last name. I can pronounce her last name when it's in front of me, but I can't remember. It's too many letters. I can't remember how to when it's not in front of me. So, but everybody calls her Dr. V anyway. So Dr. V and Dr. Tweed, my regular oncologist, they're like, yeah, we need to proceed with what we were going to do, because that metastasis in the inguinal nodes means we need to go ahead with step 2. So the chemo radiation. So it's chemo with external radiation. And the chemo started on a Monday and ended on a Friday, and the radiation started on a Wednesday and ended on the Wednesday. So they ended up not being the exact same number of weeks because of how that worked out. So 7 weeks of chemo and 6 weeks of radiation. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you about that. So that was fun. So Monday, I would go down to the fusion center, and they'd hook up my portal with 5FU, and I would wear that around, I had my little baggie, mm-hmm. and I would wear that till Friday, and they'd disconnect me on Friday. Mm-hmm. And every morning, and I always took the 7 a.m. if they had it, because I was still working full-time.
Right.
To this day, my corporate office does not know I'm sick.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
I can still do my job. Because I'm a freaking rock star. I can do my job. Now, the 2 ladies that I work with, they know, and they've taken very good care of me. I've had some side effects that have not been fun. And let me tell you what, it's no fun when you have to call your admin assistant because you've had the forethought to take your phone into the bathroom with you across the hall from your office and go, Sarah, can you bring me a Depends and a change of clothes? Because guess what? When you have external radiation go into your pelvis, have any control of your bowels anymore.
Oh, wow. Oh,
It sucks. It really freaking sucks.
That does.
It really sucks. It really sucks.
It's horrible.
So that went on for 6 weeks of the external radiation, 7 weeks of chemo. Then we had to give my body a break. During this time that I was having that 6 and 7 weeks of chemo radiation, I had a little trouble. I had a minor infection, probably from the constant diarrhea. You know, no matter how clean you try to be, it's hard to keep things clean and dry when the diarrhea is constant.
Right.
So, and the radiation at your pelvis gives your hoo-ha a little sunburn, is what they like to call it.
Really? Oh, ow.
So it hurts to pee because as the urine drains out, it stings. So when I went to the hospital with, they suspected sepsis, but thank God I wasn't septic. When I went to the hospital, I had gone for my radiation, and they sent my house downstairs to the ER and said, she might be septic, go take care of her. And they decided a catheter would be helpful for me because I was having so much trouble. I was so sore, swollen, tender, all those adjectives you want to use. I mean, when Dr. Stone came down to give me an exam, I screamed bloody murder to the point that doctors ran in from other rooms going, "Is everything okay in here?"
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it hurt so bad. But the nurse kept trying to give me the catheter. They ended up having to go to the peds unit and get me a pediatric size catheter.
It was so swollen.
I was so swollen that I couldn't take a small woman's catheter. I had to take.
Horrible. I'm so sorry.
It was like, it was the worst. It was the worst. But they took good care of me. I stayed overnight, and I had my one transfusion because my hemoglobin had dropped down at that point to 7. So your hemoglobin is supposed to be between 12 and 16. And when you're having chemo and or radiation, it's quite expected that it might drop down to 9 or 10 or maybe even 8. But if it gets to 7, that's when you have to start looking at transfusions. So that was ER trip number 1. I had 4 trips to the ER within the span of a month. Then the next 2 were because I had issues with the catheter. Because even though the catheter solved a lot of problems, it came with its own set of problems. But they were minor, got it fixed. You know, I was in and out both times in like an hour. It was fine. The next time, I was super, super anemic, and Dr. Tweed said, I got to send you to the infusion center over at Anne Arundel, and you need 2 units of blood. I was like, all right. But I get there, and evidently, when you have severe enough anemia, it makes your chest hurt. So I had, my heart's over here, right? Guys, my heart's over here. I had pain up here. I was complaining about pain up here, and they're like, well, you've got chest pain, so we have to send you to the ER. I was like, dude, that's not my heart. but they wouldn't let me go
to the ER. Shoulder, right? When you have
right. So my pain was on the right. I was like, that's not my heart, guys. Right. But they're like, no, you have to go to the ER. I'm like, all right, honey, because at this point, I was weak enough that if I was going to have to walk for more than 10 to 15 minutes, I needed somebody to take me around in a wheelchair. Like I could, walk around most things, but like I couldn't go to the grocery store or anything like that. I went to 4 job site walks where my admin assistant drove me around in a wheelchair.
Okay.
You're just
like, I'm still doing it.
Believe that you were still working. You're like a Wonder Woman.
I know.
Thank you. So the last trip, they're like, no, you have to go to the ER. I'm like, all right, let's go, honey. And just let me say that where I was and where the ER was, my husband could have taken me in my wheelchair in about 6 minutes through out of Donner Pavilion, through the North Tower into the South Tower. Okay, no, I had to go by ambulance. I was like, you freaking kidding me? Okay, there's $300 I couldn't afford. Thank you. But what's funny is the EMT's like, they, like, every 2 minutes, they're calling out my blood pressure. And, like, one time I hear them call out 51/37. I'm like, how the hell am I still awake?
How
are you?
I can hear everything that's going on. It's crazy. I can hear everything. I could respond, but I just thought, wow, that's pretty low.
Wow.
So they had to give me 2 units of blood because my hemoglobin had dropped to 5.2.
Were you bleeding somewhere else?
Yeah. That's what I was-
No, it was just the anemia from everything I was going through. So, like I said, when I had been the first time and I could barely be touched, we decided that we had to put off the next stage for about a month to let my hoo-ha heal. Because then I had to have internal radiation.
Oh.
Mm.
How long was that?
Yeah, you got that picture? You got that picture?
Yeah.
Internal radiation. Yeah, so a cylinder filled with radiation shoved up my twat.
How many times?
And I had 7 sessions of that. Yeah, 7 sessions.
Wow. That's not
It's
good.
not fun.
Burns too, right? That's like
A little bit.
kind of feeling.
But it wasn't as bad as the external radiation because that really did fry me. Right. So I got through that. And I get through that, and my oncologist says to me, well, you know, on the early PET scan from back in March, we saw some things with lung nodules that were a little bit concerning. We don't think it's anything because people have lung nodules all the time. And I was like, oh, okay. And she starts describing it to me, and she goes, yeah, sometimes a lung nodule is you were asleep with your mouth open and a teeny tiny little baby spider crawled down your mouth and went into your lungs. I was like,
that happened?
What?
Wow.
evidently that's a thing. So she goes, so sometimes it's something like that and it's completely harmless, but it could also be metastasis. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a baseline now. It's mid-October, and then we're going to look at it in a few weeks and see if anything changes. So then I had my second one in at the end of November. At this point, my CA19-9 was in the 200s because therapy does kind of jack that number back up temporarily for a while. So it's in the 200s. And so between mid-October and late November, they compared the two PET scans and nothing had changed. Everything was fine. I was like, okay. So in December, we're all kind of celebrating, the fact that looks like I'm headed for remission and I kicked its ass and I'm good. Cancer didn't know who she was messing with. Things were good. And then I have a follow-up with Dr. Tweed scheduled for mid-January. And so routine blood work always comes right before I go to see Dr. Tweed. And my CA19-9 is 1995.7.
Oh.
And we went, what the bloody hell? Where did that come from? And she's like, oh, all right, let's get a PET scan. Let's find out what's going on. Metastasized to my lungs.
Oh.
I'm now stage 4.
Oh my God.
I'm now stage 4. Yeah. What was incredible was that that blood test was taken January 17th. Mm-hmm. And when I went back and had blood work and the PET scan done on January 27th, it had jumped from 1995 to 3,096. In 10 flipping days.
Wow.
I was like, oh, shit. This is not good. This is not good. So I had to have a lung biopsy, and then they had to take all this tissue and send it off to these really, really high specialized labs because they wanted to really get down and into the nitty-gritty of the molecular structure so they could figure out exactly how to target this, because we want to get it right. So my doctor, God love her, I do love her. She's so great. She's not just a good doctor. Like, she's the kind of person you just want to go out and have a glass of wine with. Like, she's just a great person. I just love her. She calls me from the beach on her vacation with her family because the results have come back, and she says, I've got great news. And I was like, okay, lay it on me, what's up? She goes, you're HER2 positive. And I was like, why is that good news? She goes, because we know how to fix that. I was like, oh, okay. She goes, you're going on Herceptin. I was like, okay. So we finally figured out what to do, and that took a long time. I got my PET scan done January 27th. I did not start chemo until March 24th. It took that long to get all of the testing done.
Oh, that was stressful, I'm sure. Uh-oh. We don't lose her.
I know.
We're going to stay on. If you can hear us.
We're here. We're just waiting for the connection to come back.
It looks like we have all bars.
Yeah. Hey guys, Taylor and Polly here from Beaten Jeans, and we are doing part 2 of our interview with Marie that unfortunately ended early yesterday due to some technical difficulties. So we wanted to finish off her story because it was so interesting, and we know that a lot of you had your heartstrings pulled from her story, from her experience,
from her journey, and everything she's been through.
So let's see if we can do this today with no issues. Fingers crossed. So yes, this is part 2 of Marie's interview, which we have posted on our page. Soon we'll have it on our YouTube.
We'll join the two together.
Yeah, we'll sync it. All right, so we've invited Marie in.
And if you guys, yesterday we left off with her, she found out she had the HER2, and they were going to start her chemotherapy for her lung metastasis.
Right.
And then,
yes. And the HER2 they were saying this is going to help you, right?
They can fix it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a nail biter. We don't know the story either. We're learning it with you.
Mm-hmm. Marie, are you on with us? We've invited you in. Unable to join. Oh, here. Click that.
Oh, here we go.
She's requesting.
Here we go. Here we go. Did I do it?
It took a minute. Hey, I was like,
how are you?
What do I do? I'm good. And hey, my phone is at 93% today, so we're not going to have a problem with dying.
Oh, good. We were like, what happened? Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't even get it to light up, and I couldn't even get it charged enough to actually call you guys or email you or anything. And then I was trying to send a message through Instagram or Facebook, and it wanted 2-layer authentication with the second layer going to my phone, which was dead.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, I'm just screwed. Like, this isn't happening.
Well, it's all good. Everyone is waiting to hear what happens, and so are we. So we're glad that we're talking to you again.
Me too. Good. So, picking up where we left off, because I heard a little bit of the intro. We picked up, so the last thing we were talking about was my oncologist calling from the beach on her vacation to tell me, hey, I've got good news. You're HER2 positive. I'm like, why is that good? And she's like, because we know how to fix that. I was like, okay. So mid-March, I think it was the 24th. Yeah, that sounds right. I started with the next round of infusions, which she was giving me Herceptin to attack the HR2 positive, and oxaliplatin, which I think she's given me before. And then I'm taking Xeloda in a pill form with each meal. But the last 2 sessions, she actually took me off the oxaliplatin, told me to give me a little break, my body a little break for a little while, because the neuropathy's gotten pretty bad. Mm-hmm. It wasn't too bad last year because some of the chemo that I was on last year caused neuropathy, but my neuropathy was, super, super mild, and would only show up a couple times a week. It wouldn't last that long. I was like, I got this. Like, I don't need to take gabapentin to get over this because that's got more side effects. I don't want to deal with it. It's totally fine. But now I'm starting to feel that a lot more.
Neuropathy, like, just a pain in the nerves? Okay.
Yes. Like, I can't feel my fingers.
Right.
Can't feel my feet sometimes. So, yeah. So, it's Memorial Weekend, and Monday I went to my friend's pool for a little pool therapy after I did something stupid and tried to pick up a bag of compost by myself. I don't know what the hell I was thinking picking that up. But anyway, I go over to the pool, and every time I got in, I couldn't feel my feet. And I was like, it's probably not a good idea. I mean, I'm glad there's people here to jump in and rescue me, but like it was kind of scary to be in the water and I couldn't really feel my feet.
Oh my gosh, that is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, time to get out. I'll just sit here with my my Truly cocktail. I love those.
Better now that you've stopped taking it, those 2 doses?
It's gotten a little better, but I'm still feeling it. Like right now, I feel it in my fingertips right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it in my feet very often, but I often feel it in my feet in the shower.
Right.
It's weird.
Wow.
But I suppose that's kind of normal. So when I see Dr. Tweed a week from tomorrow, we'll talk about where I am with that. And if my my neuropathy isn't too bad, she'll probably put me back on the oxaliplatin because I don't want to not take medicines that I need to get better because of the side effects. Like, that was good to take a little break to try to see if it would improve, but I don't want to not get better because I can't handle one neuropathy. Like,
right.
I can handle a little neuropathy if that's what it's going to take to get me better, you know?
So
Absolutely.
You've been on this treatment regime since the end of March, so that's just a little over 2 months. And
and it's been every 3 weeks.
And are they?
Yeah, my infusion's every 3 weeks. And but the Xylota is 2 weeks on and 1 week off.
Okay.
And I guess something about that is supposed to like change my immune system so that the chemo works better. But I don't really get it because I'm not a doctor. But there's a reason why I'm supposed to be on 2 weeks on and 1 week off.
And when will they scan to see if these treatments are working for you?
I'm guessing that the next PET scan will probably happen after I finish the last of the 8 treatments. And I think the one that I have on the 17th is number 5.
Oh, okay.
So
I think it's number 5.
So
I'm trying to keep track, but I think it's number 5.
So that midsummer you'll find out. You'll do another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out what we're going to do next. Are we going to do a different regime? Are we going to let my body rest a little while? I mean,
you have
my numbers
for the ringer
for the CA19-9 has come down quite a bit.
Good.
It's in the 100s. It was in the 120s a couple weeks ago, but the one that they took last Friday was 154. So, but then I know that, you know, having treatments sometimes make those numbers go up and down anyway.
Right.
So I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but still, I'll take 154 over 6,000 any day.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's right.
I think that's telling that it's working.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Because I was getting up there in numbers again before the treatment started. Because it took them a good 2 months to get all the information they needed to make sure they were targeting my cancer the most precisely that we can with the information that we have, you know. And doctor has told me, you know, I could possibly live a long time with this, you know, and told me, don't think of yourself, you know, every time I tell her I was reading statistics, she's like, don't do that. You're not a statistics. That's not you. Look at you. You look great. You feel great. You're not a statistic. Don't sweat it.
I love her. I love her
great
too.
doctor.
She's wonderful. And just to have somebody tell me, no, that's not you. Don't look at those stats. That's not you. It's super, super helpful. What was I going to
Are you
my brains are out, whatever was going.
Are you doing any sort of therapy?
Not really. I mean, I should get back on my pelvic floor therapy. I had to do pelvic floor therapy after my radiation was done because the radiation completely destroyed everything below my waist. And it's gotten bad again. I mean, we don't need details, but let me just tell you, I went through 8 pairs of Depends yesterday.
Oh.
8 pairs. It was insane.
Wow.
It's like, am I not done yet? Did I eat something wrong? Like it's crazy. And then the other days I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine.
Wow, it's like waves, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, that's the hardest part because when I can't control my basic bodily function of being able to crap in the most appropriate spot,
right.
That makes me feel almost inhuman.
Right.
It's that for me. That's the hardest part because I feel dehumanized.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Oh.
Look at you at work.
Morning.
You're still working.
Yes, I'm at work.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I work almost every day.
Yeah.
In the summertime when the anemia was hard, I didn't go into the office all the time. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to work from home today and work when I can. And when I was having less than productive days, I always made up for it somewhere else anyway, because I needed to make it rain up in here.
Right.
Because I want commission, man. So like, I gotta bring in those sales one way or another. So
you have children, right? You have 2 boys?
One boy.
One boy. And has he been tested?
One boy, and I have a stepdaughter.
Okay.
So yes, so my son has been tested. My son did not want to go the TG route right away. He's like, maybe by the time I'm ready to think about doing that, maybe we'll have better options. And I thought that was, a reasonable decision.
Yes.
However, his last scope has found some things in his stomach, which I'm told, because I haven't seen the report or anything, which I'm told are precancerous.
Okay.
But that is prompting the TG.
Okay.
And
was it signet cells that they found?
I don't know because he didn't show me the report. When the last time I talked to him about it, he hadn't gotten a copy of the report for himself yet.
Okay.
Only with the doctor he had discussed over.
Very recent that he just had that done. So he's being monitored at least yearly or every 6 months.
So he is having Dr. Davis at NIH do it on the 13th.
Yeah.
He's having him do the scope?
No,
the
surgery. He's having the TG now.
Oh my gosh, on the 13th? Oh,
yeah.
You're going to see them.
I know.
I think you told me that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll get to meet, and I'm get to give you a big hug.
Well, that would be great. And this is, not a hard trip for me because NIH is about 30 minutes from my work and about an hour from my house.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, wow. And it's
there too?
I'm sorry?
Is your son in D.C. as well?
No, he's stationed at Pearl Harbor. He's in the Navy.
Oh, right, in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's part of what was holding him back.
And his
time
so hard because you have to get up at like 6 and that's like 1 o'clock in the morning for him. That's going to be really hard.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
The military wanted him to do it at Tripler, and he's like, no, I'm going to NIH. Y'all don't have to pay for it. Shut up. It's not your problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you have to go where you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. And they're going to take care of them, and then I get to see them. And I think maybe my daughter-in-law and my 3 grandchildren are coming along because, he'll be in the hospital for a whole week. So I think they're coming to stay here too. I don't have all the details about that, but I'll know about that soon. So
mini family.
It's kind of cool because it's a good reason to see my grandbaby.
Exactly.
Yes,
we always try and make the most out of those visits.
Yeah, we do.
Well, and you guys know
NIH.
Do you guys know about that program that one of our support groups here put together about the seahorse study? Right. And pairing somebody who's had the surgery some time ago, like not recent, but some time ago, with somebody who either is just getting ready to do it or can't decide if they want to do it, or they're, they're just getting over it, and pairing somebody experienced versus somebody who's not ready,
Right.
or has made the decision and wants to know what to do. So I actually decided I wanted to join that program. And the person that they assigned me was somebody in Virginia, and he was having his surgery with Dr. Davis at NIH. So I actually, we had some phone conversations, we had some text exchanges and stuff, and, I think I helped him, I hope.
Right.
And then I went to visit him when he was in NIH, and I met his wife, and yeah, I mean, it felt good because, I think programs like that help all of us who feel lessened by what we've gone through. It makes us feel like we've got something to contribute.
Yes.
And I want to be able to contribute whatever I can.
Right.
And whether it's one-on-one mentoring a new candidate for surgery, or just talking with people like you fine ladies and putting my story out there so we can all think about these things that we don't always think about. That's a good thing. I mean, I think every one of us, when we talk to a surgeon about the TG and the possibility of doing the TG, I think even though our doctors don't say to us verbatim, get the gastrectomy and you never have to worry about stomach cancer because it goes away 100%. I don't think any doctor actually says that, but I think most of us go there anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We just naturally go there. We just make that leap to the next space, and that's not accurate as I'm living.
We've talked about from the beginning on this channel is even though you do have your stomach removed or your breast removed, it doesn't make you immune from having any kind of cancer. So that's sort of why we created this eat healthy and live a healthy lifestyle in hopes that it could possibly prevent triggering other cancers. But
right. Well, and colon cancer runs in my family, so I've been getting colonoscopies every 5 years since I was 35.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had 2 incidences of basal cell carcinoma.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't sit on the beach and go get tan because I burn and peel. That's it. So I don't know how the second one came because it was on my right arm, which is not my driving arm. I kind of figured out how I got the one that was like under my boob there on the side, which I thought was from, I thought it was a lesion from like an ill-fitting bra or something. And I was like, it's skin cancer. Okay. That must be my love of tank tops.
Oh, yeah.
Because I will wear tank tops from May until November if I can, because I like that,
Yeah. It looks good on you too, probably.
Yeah.
Well, what's better than it did when I weighed 180 pounds, that's for sure.
How much have you lost?
Yeah, I like that ventilation.
Surgery.
I'm sorry?
How much weight did you lose from your surgery?
I went from 180 to 115. 65 pounds.
Wow.
Did you suffer any health consequences from that, like gallstones or anything?
No, I didn't have any of those problems that everybody else talks about.
Good.
My biggest problem after that was the muscle mass loss.
Yeah.
And even since the chemo, I've had a little bit more of that too, especially since I had gotten down to 92 pounds during my worst period of anemia. I still feel that. Like, seriously, taking a Swiffer to the kitchen floor kind of wipes me out a little. I can't even think about getting down on my hands and knees and doing it at this point.
Right.
I just don't have the energy. I can do it, but I have to do it like probably in like 4 sections where I do like, a few feet, and then I go lay down for a minute, and then I come back and do a few feet. I know my limitations, and I can't. There's a lot of things I can't do in a sustained way that I used to be able to do before.
And you spoke to me yesterday about your wonderful husband, who's been such a great
My
support.
husband's amazing. My husband is practically a saint. So he's been taking very good care of me, which is why I try not to tick him off. And, you know, he's really upset during this whole, you know, COVID. We've got another COVID spike going on, right? And some other variation. So he's like, no, I don't want you going to band practice while we're in the middle of the spike. And I need band practice because that's the thing that gives me life.
Right.
But I'm, you know, I'm trying to appease him because he's taking on everything. Ever since my diagnosis, that man brings me breakfast in bed almost every day because he wants to make sure I'm having breakfast. He takes care of my mother in every aspect. My mother has Alzheimer's and she's been living with us, pretty much since the beginning of our relationship. She's pretty much been a package deal. And so he took over feeding her all her meals, making sure she gets all her pills, taking her for walks.
Wow.
He is a saint. Oh, and get this. When we were talking about, you know, when I first got diagnosed with the stage 4, and I was like, okay, I have to start making these hard decisions about all these things, you know, the estate. We've got to get around to finishing the wills that we've started 6 times and haven't completed yet. And I'm like, and then we have to talk about what we started talking about last year with my brothers about what to do with my mother after I'm gone. He's like, what are you talking about? After you're gone, what to do with your mother? I'm like, well, you can't. He's like, Marie, she doesn't have to leave. She can stay here. I got her.
Gosh.
I'm like,
Almost.
who does that?
It's just pure love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a single man that I know who would volunteer to take care of his mother-in-law afterwards. Right?
No,
I couldn't think of a single man who would do that. Not one.
Oh.
But my man said he would.
Oh, well, you're so lucky to have him, and
I am.
you have such
Yeah.
a close
Well,
family.
I got it right the second time, for sure.
Yeah.
The first one didn't count. First one didn't count. I got that totally wrong. But this one has been very good. Met him at church. His daughters used to sing in the teen choir that I used to direct there. So I actually, when I realized that Dan and I might be a good match, I actually went to his daughters and asked for permission before I asked him out on our first date.
Oh, for the first date?
Yeah, because I had to ask because he was so shy.
Oh.
So I asked him out. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
How
So
long-
we've been
how many years?
together since 2005, and we got married in 2010,
Awesome.
Oh.
Great.
January 2nd. And he loved that wedding date because it's 01/02/2010, so it's like a palindrome, and
Backwards.
got excited about that, and I'm like, okay, whatever works for you, babe. All right. It's fine with me. I just wanted to get married. Well, I wanted to get married during Christmas so I didn't have to pay for a bunch of flowers to decorate the church. Because all the poinsettias are still out, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, Marie, I'm so glad that we could finish the story and hear
Me too.
what went on with you. And we're all praying for you and rooting for you and on your side. So
Thank you.
hanging on tight to hear what happens at the end of these treatments. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll check back in with you when we're done with whatever round 1 does, and we figure out where we go from there. I'm hoping I'm just going to stay on some medicine for the next, 15, 20 years and be a unicorn. My friend says if you live more than 15 years at stage 4, you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
So I am going for unicorns. I have the wig to go with it.
yeah.
When I lost my hair, I bought a bunch of wigs. I bought some blonde wigs, and I bought some fun wigs and some different colors. And
I like that.
Yeah. I have one that's very mermaid. And I can see it being unicorn because it's,
Can you wear that at our next interview when we
Yeah.
talk to you again?
I would love to. I will
Yes.
definitely do that.
That would be
I will definitely do that because this isn't my natural hair either. This is
It is? Is it a wig?
no. This is actually this is not my natural color, but
okay. I was like-
it's not my color.
Well,
It's not my color. It came back. My hair grew back salt and pepper, and I was like, No, I'm a blonde. Let's look at that. No. She's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, let's go red. Why not?
I love
It'll be
it. I
fun.
love the red on you.
Yeah, it fits your personality.
It does.
It does.
Thanks. All the boys in the band, after I showed them my haircut, they go, do we have to learn some punk music now?
Yeah,
Definitely.
They're great. Yeah, I miss my boys, but I think I'm going back to band practice next week. Because I think we've got nothing to slow down that Dan won't give me a hard time about it. So I'm going to go back next week.
Yes.
Lead singer. Love it. It's fun.
Cool. We want to hear.
Yes.
Okay, well, I will let you guys know when I have a gig. Well, that's what I'll have to do. I'll just do like a Facebook Live or Instagram Live when I have a gig.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And we'll post it
That's
on the
the
page and
plan.
bring all the seahorses in and to watch.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Sounds good. Well, thank you, ladies, so much.
If you had
for
any
everything.
words to share in closing, like what is?
In closing.
Yes.
In closing, I'm living proof. I'm living proof that having your stomach out isn't a guarantee that you can't get gastric cancer. So, but the most important thing is if you know it's in the family, please go get tested.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't skip generations. So if you're negative, you don't have to worry about giving it to your kids. It ends right there. You don't ever have to think about it again. It's not a thing.
Right.
Just having the knowledge and knowing what to do, whether you decide to go the scope route or the TG route, your choice, you need to have the information. And I mean, that's the one thing that's kind of been my help and my hindrance at the same time is I read a lot. I read a lot. So I'm, I want to know everything about this because I don't want it to be a big mystery. But I'm not a doctor, so sometimes I don't get what I'm reading. And I'm not a statistic because if I was a statistic, it would be scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Median lifespan for what I have is 8 months from date of diagnosis. But I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Good.
No.
I got a few years. I'm pretty sure I got a few years.
Yeah. At least 2030.
That's right. At least 2030. That's right. At least 2030. That's the plan.
Well, Marie, it's been so good hearing your story, and we're also thinking about your son who's having his gastrectomy here coming up. We'll be thinking very good thoughts for him and saying our prayers.
And I'll be seeing
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. I will be looking for you for sure.
Okay, Marie.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks
Have a great
very
Thursday.
much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.